So for example 3b, we're going to find our zeros for this function. Notice that we have a degree of 4, which is no fun because that means if we have a degree of 4, we're going to have to do synthetic division at least twice to get down to an x squared. So let's start off by doing our p over q. And when we have our p over q, that means we need to find factors of 64 over factors of 1. Here's p, here is q. So that really means we just need factors of 64. So we're going to say plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3 doesn't go in there, 4 goes in there, total of 16 times, 5 doesn't go in there, 6 doesn't go in there, 8 goes in there 8 times, so we have plus or minus 16, plus or minus 32, and plus or minus 64. These are your possible zeros. We shouldn't get up to the 16, 32, 20, 64, but we'll see. So now what you do is you go straight into your synthetic division. So I always start off with 1 or negative 1. Makes life a little bit easier. So I have a 1, negative 8, 20, negative 32, and 64. And we're going to have to do synthetic division a couple times. So bring down the 1. 1 times 1 is a 1. You get negative 7. So you get negative 7 here. You get a 13. 1 times 13 is 13. Uh-oh. You get a negative 19. Bummer, dude. Bummer. So we only get a remainder of 0. So that stinks. Well, let's try negative 1. Okay, so I'm going to try a negative 1 here. I'm going to get rid of all this. Oops, that was a little small. Get rid of all this here. And try our numbers again, but we're going to try with a negative 1 now. So we try with a negative 1. Negative 1 times a 1 is negative 1, so you get negative 9. Multiply those, you get a 9, so you get 29. 29 times negative 1 is a negative 29, and you get a negative 61. 61 here. Remainder of 0. Sorry. No remainder of 0. So once again, we need to try some other numbers. Well, just for time's sake, 2 and negative 2 do not work. However, what does work is a 4. So if we make this a 4 in the box, okay, if we make this a 4 in the box, 4 goes here, you bring down a 1, you have 1 times a 4, you get negative 4 and you add those, you get negative 16 here, positive 4, 16, so you get a negative 16. 4 times negative 16 gives us negative 64. You get a remainder of 0. Woohoo! That means 4 is a solution. So one of our zeros is going to end up being 4. Now just because 4 is a 0 once doesn't mean it can't be 0 another time. So that's a plus. So what does happen is you actually get 4 a second time. Another way you can check that though is look at your depressed polynomial. Okay, you either plug a 4 back in. A lot of times you don't think about that. So let's look at our depressed polynomial. We have an x cubed minus 4x squared plus 4x minus 16. If you can factor this, then that's a great way to go. And in fact, you can factor this if you try grouping. So we're going to try x to the third. Group those together. Group these together. Sorry, these are all equal to 0. So we have an x squared. Left over we have x minus 4. Over here we can take out a 4 and you get x minus 4. All this equals 0. So we have x squared plus 4 times x minus 4 equals 0. And we're going to set each of those parentheses equal to 0. So like I said, once again, if you just solve x minus 4 equals 0 and you get x equals 4, there's your other answer of 4. That doesn't happen a whole lot in Pray on your homework. It won't happen a whole lot, but just know that it is a possibility. So now if we solve x squared plus 4 equals 0, you get x squared equals, whoa, that's a little weird. X squared equals a negative 4. And we're going to have to take the square root of both sides. square root, and that's going to give us x equals plus or minus 2I. Because your negative comes out as an I, square root of 4 is just a 2. So here are your other two answers, which shows we actually end up getting a total of 4 zeros. Even though one is